Thank you so much, and thanks to all the panelists who join us for this discussion. I'm sure, this is going to be a very interesting discussion on Gen AI. So, in last couple of years, in fact, the way Gen AI has transformed our world, right from Chat GPT, where now in my house my kid uses it for homework, and now organizations and enterprises are now uh, you know, transforming their businesses using Gen AI. So it has really transformed the way uh, life works and transformed the way we perform our professional work. Right from, say, somebody creating slides for their sales presentation to creating marketing campaigns, it is now everywhere. So so today, what we would be discussing is how organizations are adopting Gen AI. What are some of the challenges? What are the specifics of adopting in an enterprise where things were differently or where things are operationally focused? How we are going to adapt in, say, fintech or logistics, etc. So so I'll start with Rohit first. So Rohit, what do you think? How we in India can use our unique potential to adapt Gen AI, and um, how what are the strengths that we can use so that we can quickly adopt it and become a force multiplier on Gen AI?
Well, thanks. Welcome, everybody. I think a lot of uh, a lot of fluff and a lot of discussion has already happened around Gen AI over the last few years. Uh, Nothing new in this. It's a 15-year-old technology, artificial intelligence. We just we just discovering the use cases now in that sense. Thanks to the cost of the chips, which are going down, because of which it is becoming more and more household in the sense, and will become faster as we move forward to quantum computing. So that's the context. If you move out of if you look at this context, there are problems which specifically generative AI is able to solve much faster in Indian context. Let's focus on that. The problems around progress, the problems around how we want to actually grow certain sectors and also build financial products, look at social equity, larger goals from that is the AI mission which has been laid out by the central government. But for us as business people, the Gen AI holds potential in 3-4 key areas. One, specifically in customer acquisition and servicing. Number two, in actually increasing productivity and turnaround times, right? Especially using the CUA models that just been introduced going forward. That is the operator models that we've just got into the effect. And number three, from a risk and an underwriting standpoint, creating beneficial initiatives for those. So those are the three specific from a business standpoint that we are currently looking at from Gen AI standpoint. There are multiple use cases. Each business, each organization will find their own sweet spot in with respect to balancing the ROI for Gen AI versus the productivity benefits or the TAT benefits that they look at from a Gen AI standpoint. Extremely important how we are looking at data for Gen AI, how the data engineering is happening. So most of the Gen AI work that is being done is 80% data engineering as of now, unfortunately, because we are still not prepared from a data engineering standpoint to harness the power of Gen AI. So a lot of organizations are still working on that. Second, a lot of work is happening in terms of optimizing the compute capacity, that is the GPUs. So we just heard of DeepSeek, but that's just one dimension of optimizing the compute capacity. As we move forward, I think every week you will hear about optimizations which are over and above DeepSeek going forward. And that's the promise that the technology specifically holds for all of us. From our coming back to fintech specifically, the fintech will obviously evolve around Gen AI with a regulatory guardrail on top of it, and that's the other part of it, which is also important. We have not seen, except for we've not seen large use cases which are direct to customer on LLMs yet, and that is because of the guardrails that we need to present for from an LLM standpoint. How and what the model is going to behave in future is still getting trained on, and none of the LLMs are actually contextualized for India. None. Right? So it requires massive amount of fine-tuning, massive amount of data training to be done for Indian context. When I say Indian context, I'm talking about specifically languages, I'm talking about Indian behaviors that still needs to be worked upon. Most of the models that we have looked at till now are very Western-centric, except one of them, which is on the eastern side of Asia. So that's the challenges in front of us. Yeah.
Thanks. That's very insightful. Now, so coming to you, Ruma. Now, Rohit talked about that what all we need to do from data engineering standpoint, and a lot of LLM fine-tuning that we will need to do from India standpoint. What do you see as challenges with adopting Gen AI in terms of, like, from your point of view, data privacy, ethics, and ultimately the job displacement that is going to be a challenge with Gen AI? So what are the challenges that you see in adopting this in your area?
Prashant, with your permission, before I answer your question, can I address the audience? Because I think
definitely.
we need to get them going, and I'll just stand up.
Sure.
Hi, guys, at the back. Hello. Yeah, this is Ruma. I just thought I'll take a minute to catch your attention because I know the company that I represent, which is Unilever, Brook Bond ki chai bahut achhi hogi, but if some of you can come aage, I would just request everybody to come here, please. Then we'll have this discussion. May I request everybody to come forward, please? Yeah, if you can get the people to come in, because it'll be nicer if chai ki chuski ke saath we really get everybody together. I'll wait for you guys. अपनी चाय के कप लेके आ जाओ. कॉफी चलेगी लेकिन ब्रू होनी चाहिए, ओके, मेरी कंपनी की. Okay, so the question that you have posed is, what are the challenges and how do we address them? Any idea? Audience poll, like KBC. Anything that you say. What is a challenge or an opportunity? Anybody? No challenge? Okay. Any other answer? कोई भी सही आंसर नहीं है इसमें. Any other? What is the challenge in AI यार? Simple सा question है. कोई जवाब तो दे दो. हाँ? Budget. Okay. Budget. कोई challenge नहीं है. बहुत अच्छे आंसर आ रहे हैं. एक और बताओ. हाँ? Data. What about data? हाँ? Right data. Data quality. Okay. Any other? Last. Infrastructure. What do you mean by infrastructure? Okay. Availability of high-end GPUs is one example. Okay, so fantastic, and thank you for all your answers. Like I said, all of you are professionals, so there is absolutely all that you have said is true. So the only way I would like to respond to is, just like any other initiative, not only technology, there will always be things to consider, whether it's data, privacy, whether it's quality of data, whether it's budget, और कुछ लोग बोलेंगे challenge ही नहीं है, यही तो काम है. So the only thing I would like to share is we have created around 500 use cases of AI globally. But the thing is to create a center of excellence called AI Center of Excellence that we've created to really govern it properly. Because there are a lot of ideas that come up, but whether they are really taking care of all the challenges / opportunities that we have heard, whether it is integration, whether it is data quality, whether it is data privacy, we need to govern them. We need not stifle innovation, but there needs to be a framework to make sure that it is done in the right manner, is all that I would like to share to your question. Thank you, and sorry for making everybody get up.
Thank you. So, as we solve these challenges, Girish, how do we make sure that India's tech ecosystem grows and have a very active part in Gen AI adoption? And what kind of industries will actually become a leader in tech ecosystem for Gen AI from India so that we can lead in Gen AI? What are your thoughts on that?
Hello. Yeah. So primarily, the way I see it, there are three areas of opportunity. One is obviously Gen AI coming in. Content search became the easiest part, and then content search got coupled with content generation. So search set of things for me and generate content the way I want. I think these were predominantly the use cases that got targeted. And then came the conversational AI part. And conversational AI now coupled with conversational commerce. I think that's the most promising area that I see which is coming up. We have WhatsApp having about 500 million users, and I think a lot of effort is going on today in getting conversational columns being driven through WhatsApp as a primary channel. So I think that's a huge area where tech companies are focusing today. Now, one of the challenge and again the opportunity is all these LLMs that have been created, and I think Rohit also said the same thing. They are all Western centric. So as Indians, we take a lot of references from mythology, our local languages, our ways of addressing people, the way we would like to connect with people. So all those softer nuances are not getting captured today, and I think that's a huge area. I just learned from Rohit that there is a effort going on to build an India-centric LLM which everybody can use, and I think that's a welcome move, and everybody of us, and obviously the tech companies can take advantage of it. So I think that becomes a very important part of the opportunity that lies, and as India, if you see, India is adequately poised. I mean, we have a large population which is ready to get digitally transformed. The UPI example is there where people are ready to accept new technologies. We have a talent pool. I think only China beats us, but there is a huge talent pool available. So I think that also augurs well. So all said and done, and again, vernacular languages, LLM coming in, I think huge opportunity to drive conversational commerce. I think it's a time to be invested in Gen AI and reap benefits out of it.
Yeah, so a lot of people say that Gen AI is a lot of buzz, but a lot less action on the ground that is happening. And would like to know your views also, Arpan, on that. That what do you think is the current level of adoption of Gen AI is, or it is more buzz than the work happening on the ground? And do you see it accelerating in say next few months because of say lower costs, say coming from DeepSeek models or new open source models coming in? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, sure. So thanks. I think lovely question. So we'll go back. We'll flip some pages back, and we'll go back to Maslow's theory again, right? Need, want, luxury, right? So at this point of time, if you look at the way we are reacting as our corporations, it's more of a want. It's not a need. It was a luxury a couple of years back. Now it's a want, saying that, if we are not there in the Gen AI space, we might be losing out. And therefore, the board tells you, okay, what are you doing on Gen AI? And then people like us also say that, okay, now it's time. We are being asked a lot of questions. So let's move. I think the idea is to make this want to a need in the way we handle customers or partners or clients, right? And it can only become a need when we start generating value out of it, right? Cost is never a problem. I think when the mobile phone came into the picture, there was a $100 mobile phone. Today we have a $20 mobile phone. So I think all these things settle down with time. What matters is how quickly can Gen AI use cases be intermingled with your customers' needs. That's one. So let me give you an example. Okay, so and we are from finance industry, and we've got someone from FMCG, life insurance. Who's our customer today? He's a very, very busy man, and he's not brand loyal anymore, right? He goes for a price point. He goes, if he doesn't get the price point, he goes for something else. If you don't nudge him, if you don't remind him of what he has to do for your product, that consumer moves away. So I think the first thing as an use case, which we as organizations need to first practice, is how do we engage our customers in telling them more often without advertising, which is costly, on engaging with our product or repricing it or rebuying it. But what do you do when you miss a life insurance premium? What do you do when you miss your SIP, right? How do you know that this is the best day in the market to invest in stocks? The markets are down. I mean, I don't read ET or I don't check my the stock markets regularly. So, but if there is a way of giving the customer a nudge real time, saying the markets have actually fallen, don't get sad, you can buy more. It's going to be a value add. Now, this is what Gen AI should be doing. The consumer needs to look at the value add. Second, I heard people talking about infrastructure. We suffer from the problem of plenty. Being a country of 140 crore people, we suffer from a problem of plenty. But I think you don't need to start totally building up an infrastructure immediately. You need to start doing your test cases right to understand what's going to help. Otherwise, it's going to be like, how cloud came in and disrupted the entire standalone server system. That's going to happen. So I would rather embed Gen AI into individual customers and their needs and preferences, because India as a country, we are changing every 250 kilometers, right? And no one is unique. LLM models are being worked upon. Some LLM models have also become very generic, right? So when you have generic models, then you're pretty much, harping on the same music. And you're saying that, okay, I'm doing Gen AI, but actually doing nothing. So you need to take cautious steps. You need to pause. And most important, you need to tell the boardroom gods that, don't look for immediate ROI on this. Let's all work together to make Gen AI a need for the Indian population or our set of customers. And, then there's a lot of things to do. So that's my perspective on this entire piece.
Great perspective. Thanks. So just to add to that, Mihir, what are the benefits that you see in your industry or in healthcare, agriculture, and other industries coming from Gen AI, like the concrete benefits?
First up, good morning to all, and thank you, Ruma, for setting the context of having a meaningful dialogue. Of course, the dialogue is amongst the panelists here, but the group here is also equally participative, and a great question that you have asked. I think my response also has to be like the best synthesis tool known as ChatGPT should be, because Rohit, Ruma, Girish, Aparna, everybody has given their inputs. Now, if you see, it's an industry combination across, like especially talking about my space, logistics. I think our ability to predict, one of the examples could be around the route optimization, and that has a straight linkage to the cost benefit that can be derived. This is one example. Today in education, AI is playing such an important role, be it in terms of agriculture, with its aspect of predictability. I think at the dawn of this century, we were all saying information age, but at the after a quarter of the century is gone, we can clearly say it's no more a information age. There is information overload. Rather, what is required is an ability to derive appropriate patterns and take actions on it. And that's the point which Aparna was also referring to. Now it's a need that we need to be focused on. And as rightly said, every new idea in the room can be put to test to a platform like this, which can help create a response, not just in form of a search and a standard response, but rather more from a appropriate decision making. And the role that I am in, cybersec, I think in cyber defense, AI is already playing a lot of role in terms of identifying the threats in a predictive way and then being able to be responsive rather than being reactive. Yeah.
Thanks. So yeah, that's a good list of things that you're already working on. In fact, in we are from the same industry, so for route optimization, for customer service, for flagging, flagging of anomalies, etc., we are already using it, and we find it, really beneficial that it has improved productivity of our agents, for example, where we suggest responses to them. So I would like to discuss more about what are some of the concrete use cases in your organization that you have picked up or you plan to pick up, or you guys have already solved, and what are some of the challenges in solving those problems or rolling that out you solve. So I'll start with you, Ruma, if you can highlight some of the concrete examples for the audience where you picked Gen AI, and what role did, say, data quality, standardization, etc., also play in that, and any other challenges that you faced there.
Okay, so I'll pick two, okay? Any requests for use cases? Okay, the two that I'll pick up. One, I'll just, we are a global organization. In Hindustan Lever, of course, as, Brook, Bornick, and Brew and all of that I said. But just to set context, why I'm saying global organization is one of the use cases is about how deeply can we live the dream of one supply chain with our customers. Which means that, for example, Walmart in Mexico, we have a pilot going on where we are able to generate a forecast which takes point of sale data and a number of elements to generate a forecast. Rather than us internally only having the data till a certain point in the supply chain, we are able to seamlessly integrate, put it in our the enterprise data lake, cloud environment. We run around 12 billion iterations a day to create one forecast. Now, of course, that has improved shelf availability to 98%, on the shelf availability and so on. So this is one example, because the dream is that you have one supply chain with your customers. And the same thing, by the way, can apply to suppliers. We've started on the customer side. So that is one example. And again, sticking to customer, because I'm part of the customer transformation. Another example would be, we have created large global hubs where we have tried to standardize and create processes in a common way where we can operate across 190 countries that we operate. Now, agentic AI can be, to your can be question, that is something that we are working on, can be a big thing, but of course, it has to be seen as to what does it mean in terms of the level of standardization that you go to. We've gone to what we call level 4 globally. But the trick is in going deeper and deeper into standardization, improving the data quality for it to really work. So these are the two, both around customer or now.
Great. So, Rohit, you want to add to it, like what kind of concrete use cases you plan to pick and what kind of challenges you foresee in picking some of those concrete use cases? I think that will also help audience in figuring out what concrete use cases our organizations are working on in Gen AI.
Yeah, so from use case standpoint, I think there are 18 use cases which are already in production in our organization, multiple of them. The recommendation engines, the persistency models, the models around putting the right product models. We have models for fraud at front end, not at the back end. We have models on which we are using on underwriting. Specifically, a lot of underwriting happens through using forms of LLM, not 100%, but yes, a lot of it. A lot of underwriting is done straight through because of LLM. In fact, we're doing POCs to read the medical report straight away, and the LLM using it to medically underwrite the customer. So that's another use case that we can look at. There are also models from our standpoint for cross-sell, right? So those are the multiple areas. That's on the business side. Banking has very similar models across that we're looking at. Since half of us are tech here, let me explain you from a tech standpoint what this means and what we are using. There are 4 levels of LLMs that can be used in actually using to write technology with LLMs, right? The level 1 is just a code completer, right? I'm just going deeper into this use case so you can probably understand, right? One is code completer, right? You open a VS Code and you suppose you're writing a code, you line half a line and it completes the other line of the code. The second level is when you're actually able to interlink, because you never write code independently. You interlink files together, right? So it comes to that level where you start interlinking the files as well, right? And the third and the fourth one is when you're actually telling the computer to write a complex program for a complete end-to-end functionality, right? That's the third and the fourth one. We've reached the second one. We're actually looking at various models across. I don't want to name models because there's not one, there's so many of them. And there's so many plugins which can help you do this. So you're actually able to improve your coding productivity by at least 30% using this. Simple. That's what we have seen from a technology standpoint. In cybersecurity standpoint, we are looking at correlation models which are getting built for logs, right? An event happens at the firewall, has to be correlated with the log of the database, right? And a certain inference has to be drawn and an event has to be triggered based on that to the SOC, that is a security operations center. I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit techy, but since we wanted the use cases, so how that correlation happens itself is a lot of artificial intelligence from that standpoint. So those are the pieces from a core tech standpoint that is happening. A lot of work is happening through the UI UX standpoint. We can generate and the turnaround times for the UI UX are much faster, thanks to generative AI and tools that we are using on top of that. On common business use cases, obviously you have the LLM, which is embedded into our Microsoft Office or whichever tools that you use, right? And you can easily do a lot of productive grunt work to be given to the LLMs. Get me minutes of meeting, summarize this mail thread, write a pivot table on the Excel using Python, give me a presentation using a 1 to 10 bullet points, right? Those kind of things are something which are already in place from an organization standpoint, and that will help you reduce the grunt work, increase the productivity. No more spending nights in building the PPTs of the world, right? Anyways, PPTs are archaic, by the way. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. I think very interesting. I really like the fraud ones. I think is going to be very well accepted across the industry, and I think the image-based underwriting that you talked about is really very interesting.
There is another use case which, if you guys are interested, there's an IoT-based AI platform which we had, not this organization, earlier organization, in which you're replacing the guard at the ATM. So if you would see, and it's deployed in 26,000 ATMs across the country. What you do is, there are set of cameras which are available on the ATM, right? You just connect those cameras at the back end to a simple IoT device which has certain sensors and BIRs built on top back end, and you're actually scanning for 5-6 simple use cases, right? Somebody's trying to break in, somebody's trying to do, right? Based on that, you trigger an event to a command control center at the back, and the action can be immediately taken. You can call the police, you can, whatever the action SOP is, can be immediately taken. And that's the level, at the level Vision AI has already been deployed in our country by a public sector bank. So people who are naysayers who are saying nothing is happening, this is already deployed. It was a couple of years back. Thanks.
Great. Very interesting. So Girish, anything to add there? Like, how do we roll out these changes in the enterprise? How to get participation from the team on the fears of, say, job displacement, etc. So what are your thoughts on that? Some quick thoughts on that.
Yeah. I do it has to be quick. So quickly, see, we are a real estate organization, and when we said, okay, Gen AI, pressure from the board, pressure from everybody, and we said, how do we approach the whole thing? And Gartner actually made it very easy. Gartner said, divide it into 2 parts, everyday AI and game-changing AI. And either you do it in back-end or front-end. So you get 4 quadrants, you decide where you want to operate in. And as a conscious call, we said, okay, let's concentrate on everyday AI. So that's what we started with. And we are doing it both at the back end and front end. So example of back end. And then in that also we said, okay, the approach that we have taken is we'll divide it into 3 steps. First is going to be assistive AI, then it becomes self-service AI, and finally it becomes proactive. Now, the example that I can give is, so for example, HR. Now, pay slips is a very common thing. The day salary comes, people want to understand what's happening with the pay slips, okay, the tax cut gap, PF, everything. There were a lot of queries which were going to the HR BPs. So we created a Gen AI agent which answers this, and it was first given to the HR BPs. So it was assisting HR BPs in solving the queries, and at the same time we were training the agent also. So all those questions they used to ask the agent, and the agent used to answer. Once we were sure that it's giving the right answers, then we rolled it out and gave it to our employees. So now the employees can go, it's called Genie. So employee go and ask Genie, okay, what's happening, and then it answers. And the next step was, okay, so now that we know self-service is working well, now why wait for those also? So proactively. So on the 31st salary comes first, you get a pop-up saying, hey Girish, your salary slip is ready, and these are the main features. Do you want to understand anything more? So I think that's the journey we took over there. Now, internally it's okay. Now, and we are more of an embedded AI. I mean, we are not creating LLMs or we don't have developers. So we are going with the solution. So for Salesforce, we have signed up with Agentforce. And while now when you are facing the customer, it is very important to really understand. So what we did is, as a real estate organization, we are high ticket. It was very important for us to understand the digital necessity of our customer. because we don't want to lose that human touch. So we have an NPS platform across 17 touch points. We collect those feedback, and we really identify that what are the points where we need to have this digital interventions coming in. And as of now, today, it's in assistive mode, which is assisting my CRM team. So that's where we are. And once we are very confident, and similarly for the vendor, so the vendor partners are currently using this bot. We have an NLP-based chatbot anyway available at the website and the customer portal. But coming to the Gen AI part, because what I have seen is the answers that come in or the response that comes in is very much dependent on the quality of the prompt. And we really need to mature it, because we cannot expect the customers to be champions of prompt engineering. So I think it's going to take some time for us to reach there, but I think that's baby steps that we are taking.
Great. In your industry, Arpan, are you using Gen AI right now for, say, fraud prevention, etc., or plan to use it? Some quickly, very concrete example.
Yeah,
We'll open it up for audience.
Sure. I think we are doing a very interesting thing is, now if the budget just got presented on the 1st. Now, if you go back 20 years, if you look at the data of budget, the day the budget gets presented, the next day, there's always been a dip, no matter how good or bad the budget has been, right? So one of the, this is just one small use case that we have implemented last year. We have said that, hey, the first 15 days of the budget is up, down, and up, down on specific days. And we've been able to figure out consumers who do panic selling, right? And they end up in loss, and we figured this out in various consumer forums, saying, we don't know whose advice to take at that point of time. So that's one thing which we have deployed for them, right? For consumers, specific consumers who have this panic selling habit, saying, not today, right? So that's one. Second is, of course, there's a lot of Generation Z coming to us to invest in mutual funds, start a SIP, and their goals are not building a house. Their goal is to watch Dua Lipa in Las Vegas or buy a Ducati, right? So therefore, there is a very different level of communication you have to do with these people. You don't want to tell them, this is an AAA product and XYZ and all that disclaimers, which is anyways a part of the deal, right? But how do you actually use the right kind of creative to go out to them and say, it's if you want to plan a trip to watch a rock concert, all that you have to do is to invest so much in the next 4 years, right? With the tickets and the hotel and the stay. And this also applies for their higher studies too, right? So then suddenly the entire thing starts changing. The third one is, of course, on security, right? Where our Gen AI actually prevents people from getting wrongly advised. Those are the models that we have built up, saying that, this is a complete no, don't do this, right? So this has been able to make the consumer understand that, boss, yeah, fine, this is a need which is going to happen in the future, so we might as well start, clinging on to it. So 3 case studies.
Great. Thanks. So now we'll take up questions from the audience. Do we have the mic in audience?
Check. Yeah, so this is Ashwini from Concentric. So first of all, thank you. It was very enriching to hear all of you. My question is that when it comes to Gen AI, you all have businesses to run, and there are multiple kinds of businesses. You have a technology team, but when it comes to make or buy, where does your heart lie as far as Gen AI development and execution of services are concerned?
It's not a hard question at all. It's a regulatory question.
I correct myself.
No, it's a regulatory question straight away, right? What are the regulatory guardrails that are being talked about? A lot of Gen AI platforms which come to us, but means that I'll have to walk on the gray line of regulation. I would not do that. Especially SaaS platforms which are newer, don't have the InfoSec guardrails built on top of it, or the data moving out of and getting trained out of my virtual private cloud, I would not do that. But otherwise, if there's a specific out-of-box solution which is available, which takes care of regulatory guardrails, yes.
So I think then the answer is clear. It depends on the industry. Since I am from FMCG, I think the common theme will be, like I talked about AI Center of Excellence, it has to meet the guardrails. I mean, they would be more stringent in that place. But I'll give you another use case, right? We've used SaaS, a number of, many of you would have known the Kirana stores, and a local Kirana app guy can now make an ad of his own because we give him the parameters, goes to a SaaS, and you can have the, instead of Arshad Vasri, Mithul Gupta talking about his store. So it uses all of that. Now, the point is that these are applications where you wouldn't want to create, because the use cases are so many, a full internal team. So in my mind, the answer to that lies in drawing the framework very carefully. Like he talked about in the fintech context. In our context, it could be a different framework. It could be linked to more data privacy and so on. But whatever it is, and that will dictate. The second is talent. I feel that in end-user organizations, it is not feasible to create a long career path for pure technology people. So we have always got to have a little balance and how we insource versus outsource any of the things.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think pretty much. So what we also try to do is we look at the hybrid model, right? And then before approaching the hybrid model, we see what is core for the organization, which is bound by regulations. Okay, which could end in billions of dollars getting lost or sued, that part. And typically we work with big, large format technology companies who would set up an in-house production center with us, because all of us have our expertise. HLL does something very good, which we cannot do, and we do something very good, which Unilever will not be able to do it, right? So. I think it's very important to understand what you can do in-house and what you need to protect in-house. What's the use of ethical AI, as I always say, right? And then probably build that entire sketch and get things moving.
Thank you.
So, sorry, we are over time. So we will take questions. We can take questions after the session. We can, during our break, we can take the questions from the audience.
Hey, take the last question.
We should clap for the audience now. Okay. Fantastic, engaging audience. At least round of applause to the front benchers, guys. Thank you. And the back benchers should come forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Parag.
Thank you, panelists.
All right.